Hello, my name is Jolanta and I'm a supply chain manager in the Baltic Power project.
Hello, my name is Marco Kirst. I'm the EPCI director for the execution of the Baltic Power project.
My very first task in the project was to involve a strategic partner into the project, and after many months of preparation we have chosen Northland Power as a partner for the Baltic Power project. After that I was assigned a task of supply chain manager, where I was responsible mainly for making an analysis about the supply chain, how basically from which components and which suppliers our wind farm might be built. And then also to introduce our project to the Polish market, to the Polish suppliers, so that they also could find themselves in this supply chain.
Yeah, as an EPCI director, I'm leading a group of engineers, project managers and different experts who are in charge of the construction of the wind farm. During the last 2 years, we supported the procurement process with writing technical specifications and negotiating with different suppliers. These suppliers are suppliers for wind turbines, offshore substations, foundations, cables and onshore substations. For me, there's two key success factors in the procurement process of Baltic Power. The first is that we developed a procurement strategy in the beginning that allowed us to secure all major contracts at an early stage with selected supplier agreements. And the second key success factor is that we managed to build an integrated team with the people from Northland Power, who bring the offshore expertise to the project, and the people from ORLEN, who have all the local knowledge and the local network to successfully develop an offshore wind farm in Poland.
Was it difficult for Baltic Power to get in touch with all those contractors and to secure the production capacity on their side?
I think with Baltic Power we were in a special situation that we started the joint venture between ORLEN and Northland Power during COVID times, which meant that many of the activities were done remotely, and it was very difficult to build good relations with the different suppliers in the supply chain. Nonetheless, we managed to secure all components on time.
As Poland does not have big traditions in oil and gas industry, we do not have here a lot of suppliers that can supply all the components or all the services. However, we could recognize that very easily that we have some experienced companies that can produce some steel components, like secondary steel components for the wind farm, as well as the cables. So we tried to involve those companies as well. We wanted to educate the market that such a new industry is emerging, and that we as both sponsors, ORLEN and Northland, we believe in this industry, and we decided to invest money into the projects so that they also should consider if it's not worth to invest on their own. So we tried to incorporate as many companies into this project as possible.
I agree. One of the main challenges in a new market like Poland is to find companies with whom you can work together to build this wind farm. And I think we managed to find a good mix between local companies who are experts in steel production and other matters, and international companies with whom we've worked successfully in the past. And the mix that we are bringing to the table for Baltic Power will secure that we support the development of offshore wind in Poland, and at the same time will allow us to build a good project with the experience of foreign companies.
Yeah, but that's what we try also, to present to the suppliers, is that offshore wind industry, because of the fact that the construction is done mainly on the sea, is very demanding, and the standards quality that must be met by the suppliers are very, very high. Because that what is important to understand is also that the wind farm that we are starting to build now will stay on the Baltic Sea for 30 years, and that we will need a lot of suppliers to maintain and to operate the wind farm from our operation and maintenance harbor, which will be located in Łeba.
Jola, how was it for you to organize events with the local supply chain?
For me, it was a great experience to see that the idea that we came as the first in the market to organize the events for the suppliers, just simply starting with talking to them and explaining them what the offshore wind farm and our project is. It was a great experience. The first meeting that we organized was during the lockdown in December 2020. And it was challenging for us to organize a meeting with the suppliers when we had no direct contact with them. But we managed to attract more than 400 participants, and it showed us that the interest of the Polish companies and also international companies in the Baltic Power project is huge.
It was nice to see, right, that despite the COVID restrictions, we managed to engage many companies in this process, and that the interest was very high, although we couldn't have any direct contact with the different suppliers.
I think that it's also good to observe that international companies would like to enter the Polish market, and that they also would like to enter into the cooperation with the local suppliers, you know. So even based on our project, we can see that companies are eager to build the consortium, you know, to perform some works for Baltic Power. And it doesn't matter if it's international or Polish companies, they simply would like to perform the works together and contribute to the successful construction of the Baltic Power project.
Yeah, I agree, and I think one of the key success factors that we will have in construction is that we manage to keep all the work in Europe. So we have relatively short supply chains and supply ways from the places where the components are produced to our fabrication sites, which of course reduces the transport and installation risk for our project.
And also CO2 footprint, I believe, what is also crucial, because finally we are building a renewable source of energy.
There's no standardized blueprint for an offshore wind farm, and each and every component that we're using is specifically developed for the Baltic Power project, which is a huge challenge in itself to develop all the individual components within the time frame that we have.
Is it difficult to coordinate all these works from your perspective?
Yes, I think for us as a developer, this is the main difficulty and the main challenge in the development and execution of the project, that we have to coordinate companies with a very different background to cooperate together in a successful way to deliver the wind farm in time and quality that we as a developer expect.
I think it's worth to say that apart from these main contractors, we have a lot of companies that are involved and were involved and will be still involved in the Baltic Power project over the entire lifetime. At the beginning, we cooperated with a lot of Polish companies providing survey and permitting services to the Baltic Power project. During the construction, apart from the main suppliers, we will also use a lot of local supplying smaller services to the project. I think it's also worth to mention that despite the fact that we do not have a lot of experience in offshore wind, in our project there are 3 companies that from Poland, the so-called the main Tier 1 suppliers, the supplier of some maritime cable and onshore cable, as well as big construction companies which will build onshore substation, as well one construction company which will build our O&M base in Łeba, from which we will service our wind farm for the next 25-30 years.
We've been talking a lot about suppliers for components and main equipment, but there's many more smaller companies like restaurants and hotels benefiting from this. And we are quite happy that the Polish people received us with open arms and that the whole country is supporting the development of offshore wind.
We can see in the local municipalities where we start building onshore substation and our operation and maintenance base that there is a huge interest in cooperation with the project in providing different kinds of services, as you said, you know, from catering services, but also other services that are needed for normal operation, because finally we will live in Łeba for 30 years and we will set up own community around the wind farm in Łeba as well.